right now. This is Ticker News Insight.
Hello and welcome back to Ticker News Insight, where we are looking to focus on the best of business with some clever people joining us from right around the world. I'm your host, Mike Loder, and to our latest story. And William Bernhardt is the author of more than 60 best-selling novels. He's known for his legal thrillers, but he has a new book that is a completely different turn. A fun and inspirational tale of a young man in early Florence struggling to be a poet that many are calling The Princess Bride for literature lovers. Love that film. Very interested to hear more. Good to see you.
Hi there. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Thanks for joining me. So your legal thrillers apparently consistently top the bestseller list. Why would you go and change the topic? Why wouldn't you write if you're onto a good thing?
Yes, you're not the first person to ask that. But as you mentioned earlier, I have done this for a while and more than 60 books. So I thought I was entitled to a more personal. I've actually written a lot of books. I've done books of poetry and I've done historical novels, but no question that legal thrillers have been the best. But The Florentine Poet is a book that comes from the heart, and it's something I've been working on for a long time, and I'm really very excited about it.
Fantastic. Now, congratulations on all the hard work, but why do you compare this book to the film The Princess Bride? I find that an interesting comparison. It's obviously a heartfelt film, a classic in many ways, and beloved by so many people. Tell us more.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the tone, whereas you mentioned this is early Florence, Renaissance Florence, a young man who desperately just wants to become a poet and marry his beloved. But as you can imagine, since this is a novel, it's not all that easy. But the tone, The Princess Bride is fun. But I think there's also something to say. I'm not sure everybody knows this, but the film by Rob Reiner that everybody loves was based on a terrific metafictional book by the same title by William Goldman. And I think there are a lot of similarities in tone. I loved Goldman. I thought he did terrific work. And, so I'm okay with that. If you love The Princess Bride, you're going to love this book too. Go get it.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, William, I understand that the book comes with a slipcase, stitched bindings, a lot of illustrations and things like that. Let's talk a bit about the old school, high-end treatment that you've given this project.
I really wanted it to be illustrated. That idea came from me, and I had to push for that because, as you can imagine, nobody wants additional expenses. But I just thought it was that kind of book. It's not exactly a fairy tale, but Princess Bride vein. It's in the neighborhood, and I thought illustrations like the one you can see over my shoulder, I think, just enhanced it. I even got to pick the illustrator, great guy named Brian Call, who read the book and loved it. And I think the illustrations that go throughout the book are just extraordinary and make what I like to think is a good story even better.
Exactly. I'm a visual learner myself, so I appreciate the energy you've put in there. Where did you get the idea for the book? Is Florence, is Italy something special to you or a part of your life?
Well, poetry is, and Florence, of course, was the hometown of Dante, and that's sort of one of the opening gags of the story. This writer is trying to learn about this person everybody's calling the greatest poet who ever lived, and he thinks, well, it's Florence, that must be Dante. They say, oh no, Dante's like 42nd, because there are so many great Florentine poets, but number one is a guy you've never heard about, and there's a reason for that, and that's the central mystery that drives the story.
Absolutely. Just to finish for me, William, you've written some poetry yourself, haven't you? Have you got any poetry books in amongst all of this as well?
Yes, I've done 3. The first was called, this is going to be a memory test, The White Bird. And the most recent one is called Traveling Salesman's Son. It took me about 50 years and about 30 books under my belt before I actually had the courage to show poetry to the world, because novels are tough, poetry is tougher.
William, I want to thank
like
you so much for bringing this to our attention. And you're right, you're right. Thank you so much for bringing it to our attention, sharing a bit about your journey and, of course, your new book. And I look forward to speaking to you again down the track, hopefully. But thank you again for joining me on the program.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
It's wonderful to see people so passionate. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I've been your host, Mike Loder. Be sure to head to tickernews.co for more. And maybe you're inspired to write a little bit of poetry of your own. It takes a bit of courage, but I highly recommend. Be well.